Perpetually Paperback, and today I'm going to be doing my July reading wrap-up. Okay, so I read 10 books in July. I live in California, and up until fairly recently, we had been going to work. Anyway, I'm back at home, and I have been for a while. My boyfriend actually still goes to work every day, of the week normally. So I'm pretty much here by myself, and for some reason I just was in a super mood to read. At the beginning, not so much. This time, for some reason, I got through so many books. I think also, so I actually got through an entire series in this month, and it was just, they were really good. I was really excited to read the next one every time, and I had the time. It was really nice. So I got through a whole series. That was really cool. I didn't even almost believe it. I had to go through my Goodreads because there were so many things. I felt like I'd gone through a lot, and it wasn't necessarily all great, but I was having such a good time reading that it was as soon as I finished another one, I was just so excited to start the next one. And I think I always sort of have problems starting books, so it was actually somewhat really surprising for me. I listened to some, I read some. Let me go ahead and tell you about them. So I'm just going to start in chronological order and kind of give you, I don't know if I'm going to still do star ratings. I'm not going to lie. They're kind of super arbitrary for me, and the star rating I give it isn't necessarily what I end up feeling, and I change them a lot. But anyway, that's sort of neither here nor there. We're going to get started from the beginning. Let's see how this goes. So the first book I read in the month was actually one that I listened to because I found it on Scribd. And I'd been on Instagram, and I was talking to Mindy from The Babbling Book. Go check out her channel. It is one of my favorites. And we were talking about a book, and I asked her for a recommendation for Lisa Kleypas. And she told me about the Hathaway series. So being someone that likes to, so I really like series, but I like when the whole series is out and I can start from the beginning and read to the end. So I think the book she had been talking about was the third in the series. So I started at the beginning. It also happened to be free on Scribd, or available on Scribd. So I checked it out. So the first one is Mine at Midnight, and they're all Regency romances, and the series follows the Hathaway family. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm going to do a full video on the whole series altogether. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go through these. So the first one was Mine at Midnight. Mine by Midnight? They're all sort of names like that. But I think it's Mine by Midnight. And it is the story of Amelia. In the family, she is the older sister. And the family has somewhat, through a series of misfortune, ended up inheriting a viscountcy. And they're somewhat of a different family. They're really quirky. The books were so much fun to read. Like I said, they're obviously romance books, and each one follows a different sibling in the family. They're so much fun. And seriously, I think by the second one, the first one, I was 100% there. After that, I was I need to find out what happens to every person in this family. I need to make sure they are matched well. So after that, I just went through them all. So that was the first one I read. I read that one on my Nook. And no, that's not true. I listened to that one on Scribd. Next one I read was Seduce Me at Sunrise. That one I did read on my Nook. And I gave both of those 3 stars. That the next one is the story of Winifred. She is, I think, the third sister. And then after that, I listened to, and like I said, all of these I'm going to talk about a little bit more in my Hathaways video. I'm going to be doing a little bit later on this month. Anyway, after that, I listened to The Tenant by Catherine Engberg, and I have another full review on this one that I will also link in the description down below, so check that out there as well. That one I kind of felt mediocre about. It is a detective story set in Copenhagen. It follows this detective as he unravels the murder of this lady who's discovered in this building, and that is somewhat why it is called The Tenant. Different people are involved in that one. I gave that one 3 stars. It was okay. I think I actually changed that one to 2 stars because I wasn't really feeling it after kind of talking it through. I just felt very meh about it. It really, after the whole review, it really was a 2-star book. Anyway, you can check that out. After that, I listened to Beach Read. This one was one I was really excited about, and I give it 3 stars because there were some things I super, super loved about it. There were other things that were super cliche. It had a couple of really cliche writer's tropes that I loved and hated at the same time. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed that one. I have another full review on that one, and that one I think is going to be coming out a little bit later this month also. Finally, we get to The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane by Lisa C. I have a full book discussion that I did for this one. It's a much longer video where I go through this entire book. This is absolutely 5 stars. I love her. She's one of my favorite writers. Her writing is really lyrical and beautiful and poetic, but it is super intense historical fiction. And I don't mean intense like it's difficult to read or anything like that. It's not. It's gorgeous prose. But she does so much research, and there's so much history. She generally focuses on, so this is a story of Li Yang, who is of the Aka people in the what is now the Shangri-La region of China, and it essentially follows her. It's definitely a character study, but it definitely follows her throughout her life. I don't want to give too much of the story away because I have a really long discussion video on that, but it is amazing. I absolutely loved it. It actually took me a long time to get through that one, and it wasn't because it was bad. It was because it was so good that every time I would put the book down, I would go and do more research about it, and just I wanted to take in so much of it. I started drinking this tea because of it, and I actually really enjoy it. The entire experience was just so wonderful. I seriously recommend that book to absolutely anyone, everyone. It's just, it might be, if you're not really into historical fiction, it's pretty historically heavy, but it's also about a period of communist China that I knew very little I'm very, very little about. It explored just some gorgeous themes of adoption and family and what family means, and also just it was so good all the way through. It did have some pretty heavy stuff to deal with, but like I said, it is historical fiction, and things in history aren't always nice, but for me, it was just so stunning. It was so good. Okay, anyway, moving on. After that, I read Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, and that is technically classified as horror. That was my book of the month selection. Honestly, this one thing I really want to say, I really love this cover. I don't know why. It was gorgeous. I think it really captured the book really well. A+ on this one. Normally I think US covers suck. This one I really liked. Anyway, that book I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars. It is about Noemi, who is living in Mexico City with her dad. They get this mysterious letter from her cousin Catalina where it seemed like she was having some psychological issues. They weren't really sure. She'd married into this sort of weird family. So Noemi essentially gets sent to go and check on her. And as she goes on this trip, she sort of kind of learns a lot more about this family and the house and the place they live, and sort of creepy things happen. I really enjoyed that one. I gave it 4 stars. I have a full video on that one as well. I'll try to link some of these down below. After that, we're going to get to some that I don't think I've talked about very much. So I listened to The Jane Austen Society, and this one is by Natalie Jenner. If you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking down at my notes because I read so many that I don't remember any of them, like in order off the top of my head what I read. I did actually really enjoy all of these, so that's really sad. But anyway, so The Jane Austen Society by Natalie Jenner, I listened to after that. And for me, it was actually a pretty quick listen. But honestly, it wasn't my favorite. There were some parts of it that were kind of cute. So I don't really know what I was anticipating with this one. I love Jane Austen, but this one was more a story. It followed 6 different people, and it was 6 people whose lives sort of intertwined in that they are all Jane Austen lovers. And through certain circumstances in the town where they live, which is where Jane Austen lived in the later part of her life, they end up trying to develop the society and somewhat of a trust to protect her legacy and her life. And so it somewhat has a little bit of everything. There's a little bit of romance, but none of that is the central part of it. It really is focused on creating this society for Jane Austen. They made some really great references. Personally, I really liked all the Mansfield Park references because Mansfield Park is my favorite, and I realize it's it's not everyone's favorite. I loved all the Crawford references. I really liked that in the book. But altogether for me, it was just kind of a 3-star. I wanted a little bit more from it, but it was written nicely. It was kind of, I would say, if anything, the reason I'm surprised that I listened to it so quickly is because if anything, I felt like it was a little bit slow in plot, in sort of everything, and I felt like there's one thing that I say that just kind of kills me is when the end of a book is just sort of left unresolved, and I just don't like that. And I felt that really was sort of present in this one, where it was just sort of somewhat left open-ended, and I think people would disagree with that because it closed everything up, but I felt like it also just left it kind of, I don't know, for me it just left me very lukewarm and very, I expected more from it. I think Annie from Eat, Drink, and Be Reading described it really well, where it was just kind of, I just wanted more from it. But anyway, okay, so after that, I finished the Hathaway series. So like I said, I'm going to do a longer video on those. We'll get to that later, but let me just kind of quickly go over the next ones. So the next one I read was Tempt Me at Twilight, and that one, how did I hear that one? Did I listen to that one? Did I read it? I think I read that one. That was my favorite. Okay, so Tempt Me at Twilight is actually the one of Leo, and Leo's was my favorite just because the banter with Leo was the most amazing. He's the older brother, and he had them, like, there was so much in his life that happened because you get it throughout all of the books, and I believe each of the books can easily be read as a standalone. For me personally, I really enjoyed that one. There's a couple different animals throughout the books just because one of the sisters is totally an animal lover, and I will say of all of them, the hedgehog is my favorite animal. Anyway, her name is Medusa. After that, I did actually, so that's what happened. I listened to Tempt Me at Twilight, and they're not actually very long listens, so because I was at home, I think I was able to get through it fairly quickly. Finally, as soon as I was done with that one, I called up my local bookstore, and my used bookstore, because I can get it for like $2. It's amazing, seriously. So I called them up, and they happened to have the 4th and the 5th one in the series, so I quickly swiped those up and pretty much read them like one right after the other the next day. And it was Married by Morning and Love in the Afternoon. And then those are the stories of Poppy and Beatrice, who are the 2 younger sisters in the Hathaway family. And they're all great. They're all different. I think the last one was more of like an episcopic, not fully, because it's just the 2 characters communicate with letters a lot, and that was kind of a cool take on that one. The general things that are going on, as far as like that one, had more to do with like war than any of the other ones as far as Regency goes. But they were all good. Like I said, I think Leo's story was my favorite just because the brother has such great snark. Anyway, so that was everything I read in the month of July. There were so many books. Just to give a little sneak peek, because I don't know if I'm going to do a TBR, because I'm not totally sure what I'm going to be reading, and also in general, I just don't like TBRs. But the couple things I am going to be reading that I have to get through this month, Elin Hilderbrand's The Perfect Couple. That is my book club read. And then I'm doing a buddy read with one of my friends. She has a Twitch channel, so we're going to be talking about that together. And we're both going to be reading My Dark Vanessa. So we're each going to be kind of vlogging our own experience, and then we're going to come together at the end and sort of give you our thoughts. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. I haven't done anything like that, at least not here on my channel, so we'll see how it goes. So you'll be hearing about both of those coming up soon in the month of June. And so my boyfriend and I will read certain books together, and he usually listens to them via audiobook, and then I will we'll listen via audio as well, because usually we share a lot of the accounts, or I actually have a physical copy of this one. He got The Lies of Locke Lamora, so I'm excited. I think we're going to be reading that together. Maybe not fully in the month of August. Did I say June? I've been saying June this whole time. Do I even know where I am? No, guys, no. I'm sorry. It's like 1,000,000 degrees outside. I live in California. It's like 105 degrees right now. So my thoughts are not all here. Anyway, so in the month of August, you'll be seeing me talking about some of these, and hopefully we'll get through The Lies of Locke Lamora this month too. All right. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for being here. Bye.